Hello. Hello, chat. Bit of short notice on this stream. I can see we've got Echo and Halakar here, but it does show there's 9 people watching, so there's lurking. There is lurking. As I have posted in the chat and I put in the Discord, you are more than welcome to dive in and join in the stream if you know something about early AD&D modules. Hello, Rick. It's a new name. So if you know something about early AD&D modules, you're more than welcome to join in the chat, because as part of the 2-year anniversary celebrations, I'm going to do one of these tier list things. Now, I've already recorded a video of my own opinions. So I've already done my own version of this. But this one, I want to be voted for by you lot. And that was the idea of having someone in chat to discuss it all with. Lots of people here. Hello, Kabuki Kid. Hello, Michael Stronghold. And there's Jean. Jean, look. That's the t-shirt. Cheers. It's massive, though. It's absolutely the size of it on me. And this is meant to be a medium. I'm only little. I'm only a little wee lad. Hello, Ian. But yes. Hello, Major's Musings. So, can you see the names of the categories that I've put here for this? The tiers. We have S tier, top tier, geek tier. We have A tier. That's a good solid tier. Nerd tier. Middle tier, B, dweeb. C tier is dork, and D tier is table flip. Hello, Captain. Long time no see. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be doing one of these tier list things, and you guys in chat are going to be voting for where each module goes on the tier list. And let's see how similar your opinions are compared to the version of the video that I've already done. Looks like I might have a visitor. Graham, it says you're not connected. Just waiting for Graham to sort out his microphone and or camera. Looks better on me. I'm only little, though. It goes past me bum. Right. Anyway, while we're waiting for Graham to sort his microphone out, shall we have a little bit of a vote then? If you look at the bottom, I've got all the modules there lined up in chronological order. I've made a mistake and I've put Saltmarsh in twice. It's in the secret Saltmarsh. So ignore this one at the end. I must have had 2 copies of the cover photo in the folder I uploaded to do this. It's my own silly fault. It won't go on there twice. But the first one that you're going to be voting for in chat is G1, the Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. Which tier do you think that should go in? Top tier, nerd tier, dweeb tier, dork tier, or do you think it's a table flip? Off you go. Let's have some votings in chat. Looks like Graham's microphone's not working. So where would you lot put G1, Steading of the Hill Giant Chief? So far, 3 votes for S tier. Right. Okay. It is a brilliant module. It is a great module. Hiya, Graham. Long time no speak.
Hi, John. Hello. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Are you well?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. I've been listening to your stuff. It's just not been live. I've been listening to it afterwards.
No worries. We all have lives to get on with, don't we?
Yeah, life comes first.
Lives. Yeah. Where would you put G1? Do you know G1?
I've not played it yet. It's on my list. I'll put it top tier. I'm just top tier for me.
Top tier. Right. Okay. Well, we've got quite a few votes for top tier. Whereas Ian thinks it's overrated. He'd put it in dweeb tier. And Rick reckons nerd tier. But those two are currently outvoted. So it's going to have to go top tier due to the votes. So hopefully you'll see this. Look at that. Right. They all move along, and we move on to G2. G2, the glacial rift of the frost giant Jarl, and Graham's disappeared again, having connection issues. So, where would you not put G2? Just to note that not everything can go in top tier. But I've got a top tier from in the private chat from Graham. Hello, Slant. Right, so you're all thinking that all of the G series is going to go in the geek tier, that top tier. We've got a few votes for A tier as well. Rick says A. Kabuki Kid says maybe S, but at least A. Ian reckons A tier as well, but Graham saying top tier, and we've got Captain saying top tier, Gene saying top tier. Halakar reckons A tier. Currently, A tier just appears to be. Live sneezing in the background. Currently, A tier seems to be a little more. You know, when you sneeze once, you always sneeze twice. It looks like it's going in A tier, but that's still good. That's still very good. Argue later. G3 then. G3's next. Why has my screen disappeared? My screen gone? That's better. So, G3. The Hall of the Fire Giant King. Where are you going to put it? Captain, you're absolutely correct. They are not hack and slash. If you play them as hack and slash, then there's something going wrong. They're thinking adventures, because you get overwhelmed hack and slash. Rick Broadhurst says A. Graham says top tier. I'm getting little bits of lag. My computer's on the go slow. Right, so we've got two votes for A. Pardon me. And yes, I've been having a beer. Sorry, Gene. 3 votes for A. We've got Graham's private chat vote saying S. We've got Captain saying S. Kabuki Kid leaning towards an S. Halakar S. Yeah, we've got just a slight advantage on the S's at the moment over the A's. No, Graham, it is when you're in actually in the stream, you can't get at YouTube chat unless you have a separate YouTube window open. It's a bit of a pain in the bum. Just replying to Graham's private message. Anybody else want to vote? We've got 15 people here. 15 people for this impromptu stream. Top tier's winning at the moment. Just. Yeah, so Graham, if you want to be involved in regular chat, just have a separate window open with the YouTube link on it. What's wrong with saying pain in the bum? Right, so it's going top tier then. That one's going top tier. Right, okay. There we are. D1. D1. Hi, Bears. Lurk away. Cheers. This is D1 by itself. D1 by itself, not with D2. So we've got an A tier, another A tier, a C tier. Graham, your test has worked. See you in a bit, Kabuki. Get your votes in for D1. Right, we've got 2 A tiers and 2 C tiers. Okay, 4 A tiers, 2 C tiers. Which means at the moment it's getting a B. Because it's in between. You're right, Biff. B tier. At the moment, it's in line to be plonked in B because it seems a bit marmitey. Some people like it, put it A tier. Some people think it's meh and put it in C tier. 1 in B. Any more votes? $19 people watching. Nice of you all to dive in on such short notice. We will be streaming tomorrow night a more serious stream, talking about the character classes we've not discussed so far on the midweek stream. All right, so there've been more votes for A tier, but the fact that there've been a couple of votes for C tier and a couple of B tier would put it sort of halfway between A and B. Is this where I'm going to have to make an executive decision on your behalf and go for the average, which is just about, well, it would be sort of there, but you can't do that. So the average would be there, but you can't do that. But the general consensus is it's not quite as good as G2. So we'll put it there. We'll put it there. Right. D2. Shrine of the Kuatoa. The module that gave us the Kuatoa for the first time. And their goddess, Blipdul Pulp, was her name. Do you hear that name, Beck? Blipdul Pulp. Blipdul Pulp. Right. 2 for A, 1 for B at the moment. Right. We are leaning towards A tier. Yes, Jean, you can skip past the whole thing. That's probably the biggest flaw with D2. Is it requires the players to want to investigate. So the DM has to come up with hooks. There's no problem, hooks to get them investigating. What accent would you use, Mage? What accent would you use to pronounce Blipdul Pulp? Cheers, Graham. What's the undersea accent? Blah, 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 blah. Can't do undersea. Can't do undersea at all. From my Blipdul Pulp. So, for those who've just joined chat, we've got 22 people watching. Bloop, 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 bloop. So, with 21 people, obviously they don't like my accent. So, I'm not going to attempt. My accent work is quite fishy. Take a straw and blow. Yes. Very. Hey! Huzzah! Right. So where are we going with this one? We're fairly evenly split between A and B, aren't we? Yes, insane monk Kuatoa with man catchers. Awesome. But you've got to give the party a reason to get involved in here. So we've got 1B, 3A, 1B, 3A, 2B, 4A, 2B, 4-3, 4-4, 4-4 at the moment. We're bang on the middle, so I need more votes. I need more votes. Yeah, treasure. Good reason to go in there. 4-4. 4A, 4B. So I can't make a decision yet on this one, and I'm not going to do any casting vote because I've already done my own version of this video, which I will be editing and uploading after this stream. So you'll see my opinions then. Hyrax. Hello, Hyrax. Right. I'm going to take that as the casting vote, the deciding vote. So it's going to go. It's going to go in A because there have been more A's than B's. Okay, D3 now. Vault of the Drow. Where do we put Vault of the Drow? Can your cat vote? Can your cat type? Isn't a meow category. No table flip ones yet. So, Vault of the Drow, D3. One S, 2A so far. Now, when I did my own video of this, I was quite harsh, and I made a point. I think I only put 3 modules in S tier. Biff doesn't like Vault of the Drow. You do need a good DM for it. You do need a very good DM. And it's a campaign setting. Yes, it is a campaign setting, but there's a lot, as others have said, there's a lot of possibilities in there. Can I recap D3? It's called Vault of the Drow for a reason. It's basically a Drow city with all its politics, and it is a complete sandbox. Lots of high-level Drow, lots of 7 or 8 Drow houses that, of course, all fighting for power. And it's all down to how the players approach it and how the DM deals with it all. It's a tough old module. I think we're averaging out at an A at the moment. The initial votes were for A, and then we had a few votes for S, but then we've had a B and a C. Oh, way. Proper Drow. Chaotic evil Drow. None of that Drist nonsense. Any more votes? Anyone want to vote? I mean, there's 22 people watching, and the idea was that you lot would decide where everything went in these tiers. And at the moment, this is getting an A, unless anyone wants to shift it with their votes. Because we've got 3 S's, 2 A's, 2 B's, and a C. So very much so, it's averaging out at an A. Okay, if that's all the votes we're getting, then let's put it in. It's getting A. Vault of the Drow goes into nerd tier. Right, Village of Homlet, T1. Village. Oh, done it again. Every time I drop the screen out so I can see the chat a little better, it goes back. Right. Village. Hello, James. Village of Homlet. Geek tier all the way. So we've got 2 S's and 1 A for Village of Homlet. Three S's, 1 A. Let's see where this one's going. Got 4-2 now, 4 S's, 2 A's. So it's leaning towards S at the moment. Oh, 4-3 now. It's even. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 S's. 1, 2, 3 A's. Biff's being awkward. Biff's being awkward. 7 S's. Okay. Obviously, if I always take the average, it's going to be a little bit wonky. So the sheer volume of S votes puts that there. Here we go then. Tomb of Horrors to complete 1978. We have the Tomb of Horrors, S1. Yeah, Biff, there was an issue with Elemental Evil coming out a lot later and being written by a different author and being awkward. There's a lot in it, hell of a lot in it. I could never be bothered to dig it all out. So Biff is indeed demanding a very high standard. But Tomb of Horrors. We're voting on Tomb of Horrors. Mwahaha. Right. I did expect to see a table flip vote in here. And it comes from Captain. Bottom tier. Table flip. Slan C. We've got 2 S's. 2 A's. A few B's. Completely all spread out. Completely all spread out. Absolutely. Absolutely, Slam. Absolutely. And didn't you just know it would happen? Didn't you just know that this would happen? You have 3 choices, Al. You can go to the left one, the middle one, or the center one. Choose wisely. So are we going to sort of skip on from Tomb of Horrors? Because I don't think it's going to be, you're not going to, yeah, it does have nice pictures. We've got 1 bottom vote, 1 C vote. We've got a B, 2 B's, a couple of A's, but a few S's as well. So we're leaning towards the higher side here. I would like to see a few more votes. You got everyone to the last room. I've only ever seen 1 character get to the last room and didn't survive. Ian, it all depends on whether you cast the right divination spells. Can you all hear the conversation going on in the background? I'm sure you can. Let it fall where it lands. Okay. So we've got more higher votes than lower votes, but we've got a big spread. I'm going to have to take an average on this one. And because the votes lean towards the higher ones, it's going to go as an A. That's down to the DM though, Biff. You need a decent DM for Tomb of Horrors. You need a DM who's giving you the right amount of information and be stony faced and neutral, and not help you, but give you the right information. But that goes in as an A because of the general leaning towards the upper votes. But there were some lower votes for that one. White Plume Mountain. White Plume. White Plume Mountain. The first two in column S, Brave Sir Gecko, they are G1 and G3. Those are the original releases of G1 and G3. White Plume Mountain. This one does indeed have a zoo. Looks like you're right, Slam. Because the S's are flying in. The S's are, there's an A, there's a B, but there's a lot of S's in already. Well, there's a C from Gene, but it's one of those where let me count these. Let me count these. So Bears went for A. Gene went for C. Rick went for S. Kabuki Kid went for S. Biff went for S. Ian went for A. James went for S. Halakar went for S. Slam went for B. Captain went for S. Gecko went for S. It's got an S. It's got an S. Hello, Jamie. Yep, this one's got an S. More S's than anything else. Okay, we're now moving to the Slavers series. We're in what year are we in now? Is this 1970? Oh, 1980. We've done that. Only two modules from 1979. They were T1 and S2. 1980 and A1, Slave Pits of the Undercity. That's your next vote. A1, where are you going to put this one? Okay. A1 says L says S. Halakar says B. No, Sausage Toes, you don't get captured in A1. We'll come to that one in a bit. Two S's, an A and two B's. Two S's, two A's, two B's. We're certainly looking at an A here as a good solid average. You're evening out between S, A, and B, which means it's almost certainly going to land in the A tier. Any more votes? N2 is not on this list because it came out after the closing time. So there's no N2. Came out in 84. So this gets an A tier. Right, that goes in nerd. C1, Hidden Shrine of Tomorrow-chan. C1. What do you reckon to that? First of the competition series. We had the first vote of a B. B. It's a good read, Kabuki Kid. It is a good read. It's quite dense, but it's a good read. It's linear because it's competition. But yeah, it's falling very much in the B tier at the moment. Yeah, 4 votes for B, 1 for C, an S, and an A. So it looks like it's going to land in the B tier. It did give us the gibbering mouther. That is correct. Yes, you do, Slan. It's going in B. So that one gets a B. Okay. Ghost Tower of Inverness, C2. So your next one is C2, the Ghost Tower of Inverness. If you get out of C1 in a tournament, well played. It is tough. Played with the poison gas properly, it's as tough, if not tougher, than Tomb of Horrors. Okay, we're leaning towards B. We've got 2 A's, 3 B's, and 2 C's at the moment. So Ghost Tower Inverness is looking like a B, but that could still change. Oh, C's have taken the lead. Right, we've got 4 C's now. So 2 A's, 3 B's, 4 C's. Yes, Brave Sir Gecko. I did play. I've run C3 twice. I don't like it. No, it's not good. C3 is not good. And it doesn't make this list because it's post 1983. This is just 1978 to 1983. C3 had some good ideas. It just wasn't put together well. And it was too thin. 32 pages, of which you had 12 pages of adventure. At the moment, this is a low B. Any more votes? C is just a higher one, but there's a couple of A's for Inverness. It's squeezing in as possibly the lowest B so far. Just wait and see if anyone else would like to vote. Yeah, exactly, Kabuki Kid. Sometimes the group and the DM can make a module better than it's written. Exactly. And I've had to... Sometimes when I've done my reviews, people try to say, oh, but I had fun with that one. Yeah. It doesn't mean... If you had fun with it, doesn't mean it was a good module. N2, I suppose, can be fun if you've got the right sort of DM. but the DM has to do a hell of a lot of work to make it fun, and that doesn't make it a good module. Yes, the DM is supposed to do a bit of work, but if the DM has to rewrite sections of it, and then it's not going to, it's not good. Gene, have you voted on this one? Yes, you have. You voted C. At the moment, this one's getting a low B. Okay. It's going to get a low B. Right, Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits. Where's your votes going? Guess where I put this one. What? Gecko, what planet are you on? Queen of the Demon Web Pits, Q1. Where are you voting for this one? We've got one S, two B's, and 1, 2, 3, 4 C's so far. Graham. Two S's, a B, and 2 B's, and 5 C's. 6 C's now. It did indeed have a confusing colour map. I thought it was one of the better bits of it. It's looking like it's going to get a C at the moment. So we've got B, C, S, B, B, C, C, S. More, yeah, more, there's more C's than anything, and C's are outnumbering things, and there are a couple of bottom ones. So Q1's going in C. S3. Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. I think C is better than it deserves. I really do. I really do. I think Q1's appalling. Okay. Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Get your votes in for spaceships and ray guns in D&D. No problem, Al. I'm gonna have to keep count here. This one's gonna be all over the place. So S, A, B, C, D. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Let's have a look. We've got Gecko went for C. Then we had Gene going for D. Graham for A. Sausage Toes happy there was a spaceship but didn't vote. Rick loves this one. Jeb goes for a D. Captain goes for a D. James goes for a C. Slam goes for an A. Ian going around down the bottom. A, B. Can we go lower than D? Sadly not. Major Music wants to give it a B. Right. We're so evenly spread on this one. And when half the voters on Amazon give something a 10, the other half give it a 1, it gets about 3 stars, 2.5 stars, even though most of the votes are fake on Amazon. So it's going to go into B. It's going to go into the middle. It's that's what it's got to do, because the votes were so all over the place. I disagree with putting it in the middle. I gave it table flip because I don't like it. Anyway, A2, Secret of the Slavers Stockade. Where would you put A2, Secret of the Slavers Stockade? Yeah, exactly, Hyrax. Well, those who like it a lot. Those who hate it a lot. Exactly. Boggles, yes. Boggles are good. Gecko liked it. So we have B, B, and S to start with. Kabuki goes for B. A, B, A, A, B, A. C, S, A, B, C. When votes are all really spread out, I'm taking the hello Alpha. When votes are all spread out, we're taking the average. But in this case, votes are concentrated on B. B has got about half the votes, so it looks like it's going to get a B unless anyone else wants to cast a vote. You didn't play modules, did you, Elfbait? So yes, and we're voting on modules. Right, this one's going in B tier. It's going in B tier, and yeah, it's one of those modules where I can see both sides to it. There's some really great bosses. There's some really good ideas. The initial sort of battle to get into the stockade is fantastic. Dungeon's good, but it feels padded with fluff. And the stockade at the top is just, the correct route is too linear, and everything else is too very bolted on. So A3, Assault on the Eyrie of the Slave Lords. Vote your tier for A3. Two C's so far. B for the cover. C. A4 is the one where you wake up without all your gear. A3 is the one where you get forced into being woken up without your gear. This is the one where they kill you at the end. It's heading towards C tier at the moment by the looks of things. Yeah, 6 votes for C tier. Right. Yeah, I put this one as a D personally, but it was a table flipper for me because it is so badly put together. But it goes in as C tier based on your votes. A4 in the Dungeons of the Slave Lords. So what do you reckon for A4 in the Dungeons of the Slave Lords? This is the one where you wake up without any equipment and you've got to try and find your way out in the darkness. Yeah, the forced ending bit is the problem with A3, but the problem is that A4 relies on that ending being forced, which is a shame. Gene didn't like A4. Yes, Slant. I mean, my group were struggled in A2, got captured, and so I threw them straight into A4, and it worked well for that. At the moment, A is leading. We've got 1 S tier vote, 6 A tiers, 2 B tiers, and a D. And I've got my beer repeating on me. And the Myconids are great. It did indeed. It made you think. It made you think. Yeah, I mean, but the series works if you play A1, A2, A4. It works fine. So this one's going in A tier. Right. Next up, we've got the first of the collections. D1 to 2, Descent into the Depths of the Earth. D1 and D2 combined. Where would you put this one, given that D1 got B tier and D2 got A tier? And the vampire that doesn't appear. Precisely. But where would you put D1 to 2 combined? This is easy for me to work out because there's loads of A votes. There's a couple of B votes and an S vote. No worries, Elfbait. So there's an S vote, a couple of B votes, three B votes, but a lot of A votes. How many A votes we got there? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 A votes. So that's going straight in as an A. Right, G1 to 3, the Giants modules combined. I think I know what's going to happen with this one. So G1, 2, 3, the collection of Giants modules released together in 1981. Where would you put it? Where would you put it? I think this is going to be a quick one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 S's, 9 S's, 10 S's, 10 S's, and a few A's and B's. So 10 S's. That was quick. That was quick. So that goes in S tier. The Giants did indeed know how to party. I won. Dwellers of the Forbidden City. That's fair. That's fair, half-bait. That's fair. The thing about G1 to 3, yes, it was an adventure path in that sense. But it wasn't a railroad. Because the modules themselves had multiple ways of dealing with them. They were location based. And yes, you had to go from the location, various locations, but there wasn't a specific way of dealing with them. What makes a proper railroad is giving them only a specific outcome, a specific way of dealing with things, a predetermined outcome. Modules can have fairly linear maps and not be railroads. But their maps weren't linear. Okay, I'm going to have to count this one up. This is I1. So Halakar is a big fan. Elf bait, great potential, falls short of being awesome. Jane loves it. Hyrax says A. James says A. Captain is a weak B, strong C. Okay. Ian says A. TK says A. Rick says A. Kabuki Kid A. Michael A. Oh, is yeah, well, it's the A3. That's exactly, yeah. Yeah. Michael, yep, I've got A. And here we go. Hello, Hungar. How you doing? How you doing? See my new t-shirt, Hungar. We got Gene from Inksplat Records to thank for that, because it arrived with this today. So I'm actually going to put that there. I see in the background. Cheers, Gene. Thank you, Hungar. Thank you very much. I1 is using that majority thing. I'm going to put it in as an A. It's got basic and advanced fantasy in there. There's eight or 9 books. It's that box set with lots of books in. Here one, there one. Right, so this goes in as an A. 25 people for an unplanned stream. Marvelous. You might like Hungar if you look what I've named the tiers: geek, nerd, dweeb, dork, and table flip. Given what you tend to call us. So that was I2. L1 then. L1. The Secret of Bone Hill. Where are you going to put that? Hungar, you should always, to come back to your comment here, you should always do what you want. We know you do what you want. You do what you want, and that's what you should always do. Do what you want. Right. Slan says S. Hello, Emanal. L1 says S. L1 says S. Learn to read. Learn to read, geek. Kabuki Kid says S. Gene says A. Gecko says S. DK Yang says C. 2 more S's over there. A B for Michael. Ian says S. Rick says B. Halakar says A. Mage's Musing says S. How did Tomb of Horrors get an A? Because votes were widely scattered, but generally towards the higher side. A. Captain reckons it's a D. Duralumin says an A. Right. With this one, we've got 7 S votes, 4 A votes, 2 Bs, a C, and a D. I think we just have enough dominance from the S votes to throw it in S. It does depend if any more votes come in. It is good cover art, yeah. It is a striking piece of cover art. And it was a sandbox. Absolutely. Absolutely. S for sandbox. We're not doing any re-ranking for latecomers, Nut. If you missed out on the early votes, you don't get in. But Bone Hill's getting in A, getting in S, because the majority of votes are S's. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. I'm waiting. So get your votes. Get your votes. You know what I particularly like about Captain and Graham's votes here? I'm pretty sure that I'm the last DM to run them both through this module. Am I the only? I probably think I'm the only one to run Graham through it. Captain knew it, so he played one of the NPCs. But we had a great time. Such a good time running this module. It is. Yeah. Even if it didn't include Saltmarsh at all, it's going in as an S. Of course it is. Of course it is. Fully deserved. No real need to discuss that one. But I do feel proud to see the two of the players in the group I last ran through it vote it S. Makes me feel good as a DM. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed running your group through it. It was really good, Captain. Really, really good. Whole group were great. Absolutely great in it. Yes, complete S, Jet. Yeah. Is that L? Is that because they were doing things better than TSR USA were at the time, which was collapsing under its own weight of ego? Right. Let's see. I2, Tomb of the Lizard King. That's one of the great things about U1 is because it can be run differently, because it's an intelligent enemy that can move around in the house, are designed to move around in the house. So put it in the hands of a different DM and they'll run it differently. Kabuki, the remake of the Saltmarsh series wasn't too bad. They did change the illusionists to become regular mages, which was a shame. There were no longer Knoll bodyguards. I think they were hobgoblins. The design of the town was fine. It's a little. I found later designs. There was a 3rd edition version of Saltmarsh where every other person was a humanoid, and I think part of the whole point of the adventure was it was very much a human backwater port. It's not meant to be overly fantastical. So I think the 3rd edition adaptation was a bit wonky, and the 5th edition, it was okay. It was all right. It wasn't too bad. It was one of the better 5th edition products. Tomb of the Lizard King. So let's have a look, see what we've got. Hyrax gives this one an A. Rick an A. Michael an A. Graham a B. Kabuki Kid abstains. Gecko A. James B. Ian doesn't like it. Halakar A. Captain B as written. Elfbait likes this one. It's leaning towards A at the moment. No, I've not run it. I have browsed it. It didn't grab me, so I've not ever really studied it. And because it didn't grab me, I didn't rate it particularly highly. I'm not going to review it because I've not run it, but it didn't grab me. But on the votes at the moment, it goes in as an A, which is a surprise to me. Is a surprise. Because when I did my vote going back 2019 on the Facebook page, it didn't do very well. Didn't get a lot of votes. Okay, I3, Pharaoh. Ian really doesn't like this one. Right, but we're moving on. Pharaoh. Gecko reckons an S. Okay. Okay. Kabuki Kid an S. B from Gene. You could do this for all sorts of things, Al. You could do this for all sorts of things. But it's just meant to be a bit of fun for tonight. Bit of fun. Hello, DM James. Okay, you're quite scattered at the moment with your votes. It's certainly, there's no vote that's pushing too far ahead. It's bouncing around the upper A tier at the moment. It's got a significant number of S votes, but it's not close to half on the S votes yet. Any more votes? Any more votes? And for anyone joining now, these rankings are what chat have come up with. It's not my opinion. I'm just acting as an arbiter. Any more votes for I2 Pharaoh? Oh, James voted for B2. Oh, no. We're not on. We're not doing the B modules. We're not doing the B modules. Okay, so I didn't see that. We're just doing AD&D. Oh, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, James. New member. Right. So this I3 Pharaoh is going in as an A. There we go. N1 against the cult of the reptile god. With this tier list is AD&D modules from 1978 to 1983 specifically. Just AD&D first edition. So we're doing 78 through to 83. Two votes currently for S tier. 4 votes for S tier. An A and another S. I have to see where this one's going. And another S. No, I think you're a bit behind. I2 was a lizard man vampire. We've got an A and 2 Bs. Against the cult of the reptile god was Spirit Naga at the end. This is N1 against the cult of the reptile god, Gene. A B from Gecko. Another S. So that's 7 S votes, 2 A's, 3 B's. So we have a majority of S votes at the moment. I'm going to give you a little bit more time. Yes, Ian, it is tricky. It is a tricky adventure. It's tricky for the DM as well. It's not a novice module for anybody. Why did they put it in the novice series? Why? Answer me that one. Answer me that one, chat. Why is it gone in the novice series? Apart from the fact it's for level 1 to 3 characters. That's the only way they could have done that. The module itself is not for novices. It gets an S vote, though. Okay, S4. S4. Lost Caverns of Sojkanth. Yeah, but the novice series was for novice people who were novices to the game. You got that certainly later in the series with Treasure Hunt and Under Elephant. They were designed for beginners, but you got the Forest Oracle as well in the series. It was a wonky series. It is a zoo, Rick. It's a fun zoo, though. It is a fun zoo. It's on 5 S's, 2 A's, 1 B at the moment. So this is heading towards another S. Ooh, now there's 2 votes for A's. 2 A's have come in. Right. So it's halfway between A and S at the moment. You're going to have to bide our time on this one because we've got 5 S votes, 4 A votes, and a B. Now, there isn't an... Oh, we got another S vote. So S has now gone back into the ascendancy. And that's an, and that's an A. So it's it's an A almost S at the moment because that B just it's difficult to judge. Difficult to judge when it's so evenly split. It is very deadly, very deadly, Kabuki Kid, very deadly indeed. Yeah. Yes. The Bodak. Our party's druid in the room with the Bodak, with all the bodies lined up. He decided to go around examining all the bodies, and he looked at each one in turn. And he actually said he was going to look at the faces of each one. So it was, okay, this body is just a desiccated corpse. This body, not quite as rotten. The next body appears to be staring back at you. Please make a saving throw. He died on the spot. Okay, it's going to get an A. It's going to get an A. S's didn't quite have the ascendancy. Okay, you too. Danger at Dunwater. You too. Danger at Dunwater. Not the band, you two, but the module, you two. Yes, the amount of material you got in S4 was excellent. But yeah, Gene's right. Making it fit on one map, it did constrain it a little. Kabuki Kid likes you two. Halakar says D tier. Major's Musing says A. Ian McDonald says C. 2 A's and an S. And another S. Well, there's a B, and there's an S, and there's a B. Widely scattered, but leaning towards A at the moment. Captain drags it down. There's another B. There's a C. All right. You're so even. It's going to have to go in as a B at the moment because it's absolutely evenly split. I'm not surprised, Kabuki Kid, because it's the sort of adventure where it can. When I ran it for Captain and Graham and a few others, it was completed in 3 hours because when they did U1, they captured one of the lizard men. And while that was in captivity, they learned to speak to it. They managed to get, they translated, but they treated it well. And thus they got proper information from it. So by completing U1 and talking to the lizard man captive, they pretty much bypassed U2. They never went to U2 thinking the lizard men were the enemy. And that can happen. That is the problem with the adventure. It's a well-written lair, the balance of power in there, the way it's all put together with the different factions in the Lizardmen group, it's fantastic. It's just the whole premise that if your party have got an ounce of brains and complete U1 properly, they're not going to get caught out by it. I really don't think they are. WG4, the Forgotten Temple of Tharisdun. WG4. Halakar's favourite. Two S's and an A. Another A and a B. And a B. And another S. Doesn't make it a bad module, Ian, if that first combat slaughters you. It's meant to be brutal. My group took out that first room when they realised both sets of stairs were sources of enemies. They put a wall of fire sealing off one of the stairs up, and then all the smoke that was in the room, they used pyrotechnics and gust of wind together to just choke out the stairwells, and that's how they turned it. WG1 where's WG? Well, retroactively that was Village of Hamlet, Sojkanth, one other, probably Temple of Elemental Evil, retroactively. Right, we are quite evenly spread at the moment. We haven't got a lot of votes though. We've got 4 for S, 2 A's, 2 B's, and a C. Yeah, it does play better than you would expect. I agree with that, Michael. Saturnine's vote is an A as well, so it's an S, sorry, as well. So we've got. Well, I've lost count with the votes on this one. I'm going to have to count the votes on this one again. So Halakar A, Kabuki Kid. So Halakar S, Kabuki Kid A, Gene S, James B, Hyrax A, Slan. So Hyrax S, Slan A, the other James B. Rick B, Michael S, Ian C, Saturnine S. Right, yeah, run it, Mage. It's a good one. It's got more S votes than any others, but not any others put together. So it's going to have to go in as an A. So that's the average, which is fine. It's fine. A is still, there's some good stuff in the A category. Right. EX1, Dungeon Land. Yep. EX1, Dungeon Land. Characters through the Looking Glass. No. Characters in Wonderland. EX2 was through the looking glass. Level 9 to 12 PCs. Has nobody played this one? So, no votes yet on Dungeon Land that I can see, but then I have a delay, don't I? This is the Wonderland one, yes. You abandoned it, Captain. Ian doesn't like this one. So we've got B, A, except one pouty but pouty person. Okay, we have 3 B votes and 3 D votes. Which means it's going to be put in a C unless any more votes come in. Goes into dork tier. Another B and another D. There we go. So it goes into C. It goes into C, which is the average. You were fairly evenly spread, and Saturnine comes in with a C as well to cement it. There we go. Okay, so EX2. Are your votes going to be the same for EX2? I've already got Halakar's C for this one, and I've already got E and D for this one. So EX2, The Land Beyond the Magic Mirror. We haven't had any modules that have been universally hated. I think I put 3 modules in the table flip tier when I went through this. One of which was S3. Okay. You can't see the entire chart any longer. Oh, is that because I need to scroll the page up? Oh, you've got that little advert at the bottom. Oh, God, yeah. Ugh. There we go. There's the chart. Do apologise. I've only got one monitor. Okay. Right, Halakar's going to have to go, but he's preempting an S for Ravenloft. Okay, so B, C. I think we're going to get the same result, aren't we? Yeah, already got Ian vote. Harris gives a B. Slam gives a D here as well. Another B. Hard D on this one. I think this is getting a C again. It is. It's getting a C again. I didn't mind these modules too much. Yeah, but I can. Yeah, I'd put them in a C myself. Okay, I4, Oasis of the White Palm. I am doing this on one monitor, that's why occasionally it wobbles. Oasis of the White Palm, I4. What's your votes on this one? Okay, so okay, when I get to I6, that's 2 preempted S votes. Okay, I've got you. Got those. Cheers, Ian. So Aces of White Palm, 1 S and 3 A's so far. 4 A's and an S, another S. So far we've got 5 A's, 2 S's and a B. Now, Gene, I will come back to your comment in a moment. I will come back to that, the fact that you've read but never used it, in a moment. And we've got all the votes in. But at the moment, it's got 5 A's, 2 S's. Hello, Master Blaster. 6 A's, 2 S's and 2 B's. So this one's going to get an A, almost certainly. Gene, when I read I4 for the first time, I just thought, what the bloody hell is this? All over the place. I felt the same when I first read WG4. Badly organised. But then I played it, and it was the best part in the series by a mile. By a mile. Just my opinion, but yeah, worthy of an A. I5, Lost Tomb of Martek. What are your votes for I5? Okay. It's got 4 A's. Ooh, 2 S's. There's a B and there's another A. It's leaning towards an A at the moment. DM James says B. Still leaning towards an A. It's got 2 S votes, 4 A votes, and 4 B votes. So this is looking like an A. Much as it pains me, it really pains me to put that there, because if you gave this higher than a C, you're wrong. I thought Lost Tomb of Martek was a poor adventure. I can't remember if I put it in table flip or dork tier. But I don't like Martek at all. I think it's underdeveloped. Too many ideas crammed into too few pages. Too many ideas crammed into too few pages. It should have been a 64-page adventure. You're too late for Pharaoh, Manal. That was Martek. You want to change your vote from an S to a C? It doesn't change its overall position. It still creeps into it. Oh, Gecko. Ooh, That late C vote drops it to an A/B. It's halfway between the two. Yeah, Martech felt like a wasted opportunity for me. Really did. It's exactly halfway between A and B. What did I do last time? Yeah, I'm afraid. Last time it was halfway between. We went for the lower one. It's getting moved down. Good. I get final say. Ravenloft. 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 I6. Okay, Ravenloft. Come on then. What are your votes? It isn't too bad. Okay, so we've got okay. It's had one A and lots of S's. Glowing Turtle. Hello, Glowing Turtle. You're new. I love the isometric maps to look at, but in play, they are a pain in the posterior. I ended up transferring them to a 2D layout when I last ran it. So I could run it more easily, but they're beautiful to look at. Jane did not like Ravenloft, but the S tier votes are so heavily dominant on this one. There it goes. Right, L2, the Assassin's Knot. L2, the Assassin's Knot. Yeah, exactly. They are painted on the fly, but you've got to prep. You've got to prep it. L2, the Assassin's Knot. I think this one might split opinion a bit. It is very, very dependent on the DM. You are right there, Mage. No, Michael. It's leaning towards B at the moment. It's very much leaning towards a B at the moment. This is such a DM dependent adventure. And you're right, TK. You are right, TK. The cover is abysmal. Though, did you know my most downvoted video is the one where I talk about the 5 worst D&D module covers? It's my lowest rated video. People get stroppy with that one. It is Turtle. It's the one with the murder investigation. Right. So this is going in B. Okay, you three, the final enemy. You three, final enemy. That'd be one way of doing it, Slam. I've said it before. It's clear that Len Lakofka wrote his Lendor Isle setting with a lot of love. Some very imaginative ideas, great little sandbox, some really good NPCs in there. But he really, really needed someone to sit over his shoulder and help him with the editing. Because L2, all the clues are just scattered. It was missing. It just needed one paragraph where it listed all the clues, where they were, and ideas how to drop them and put them all in, just to tie it all together, because I was finding bits all over the module. It wasn't well edited. Cheers, Captain. Cheers, Captain. Hello, Michael. First time I've seen you on one of my streams. Yeah, Len. I was in, as I know you were, in Facebook groups with Len, and he spoke his mind. He was a helpful guy. He could rub people up the wrong way. He was quite blunt the way he spoke, but he knew his stuff. That's the thing with it. He knew his stuff. It was a shame, real shame, when I heard he'd gone. You threes, that's another A there. And another A. Two more A's. It's heading towards A. Two S's there. A. It's an obvious A. This is such an obvious A. Cheers, Captain. I'm the DM who ran it for him. But no, I was scared running U3 because it is such a beast of a module to run. There's a lot to take in for the DM. There's so many moving parts, but I ran entirely theatre of the mind, and it ran so well. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. But it's going in as an A. Okay, UK1, Beyond the Crystal Cave. UK1. We've got none in table flip. And 30 people in chat. Cheers all. UK1 is an S. Okay. A. I will say you've all been much more generous than I was when I did my own tier of this. No, you didn't play UK1, Captain. I didn't run you through UK1. UK4. Yes, it is. It is Romeo and Juliet. It's heading towards A at the moment. Now, I thought this would be a polarizing one because of its nature. And Michael's right. He says, it can completely break a campaign timeline. Completely. Yes, indeed. But it's very different. It's very, very different. Kabuki Kid, you know the way into an old man's heart. UK 2 and 3. I'm a big fan of UK 3. You all know that. You all know that. Right. Yeah, UK 1 is a unique module, very magical, but it's got a very dark underbelly to it. It appears whimsical on the surface, but underneath, it depends how the DM plays it. I mean, certainly there were a few moments when I ran it because of the way some of the creatures can react to some of the players, some of the party. No, they weren't UK and US versions of the same module, Glowing Turtle. The U series and the UK series were both written by TSR UK. And thus there was a series of 7 modules, UK 1 through to 7, that were all written by the British authors. They were given their own series after they'd done U1, 2, and 3. And U1, 2, and 3 had been highly rated. But a very different style. All of the UK modules had something different about them, something special about them. Didn't always come off, but they tried something different. Well, at the moment, this is leaning towards being an A. It had B10. B10 was great. Really, really good. This is leaning towards just being an A. There's more votes for B, but there's not a majority for B. Graham Morris also wrote I8, Ravager of Time. And I would say, I mean, Michael said it encourages a non-violent resolution. I mean, it pretty much forces a non-violent resolution because there's there's somebody in the garden who's going to have words. Okay, this gets in as an A, just. Oh, whoops. This just squeaks in as an A. Now you see there are 2 modules at the bottom. One is my duplicate copy of U1, which I accidentally put in there twice. So the last module to go in is UK2, the Sentinel. So the last module to go on this tier sheet, UK2, the Sentinel. Hyrax, nailed it, exactly. I'm giving my opinion here. I completely agree with what Hyrax has wrote here. The lady on the cover is an illusionist, a very ugly illusionist, and some of her at least one of her kids is a half orc. No, she's a human illusionist. She's human. It's one of her kids who's a half orc. Better late than never.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm ready to go out and dig, but you know. I'll leave that for the weekend after our game. I'm going to regret it, but I need lots of manual labor for this weekend. So
yes,
better late than never.
oops. There we go.
You can hear me. I can hear me.
I'm sorry, I had the phone with your stuff on.
All right. Any more votes for the Sentinel?
I don't even remember most of these.
No, Michael,
Well, the sad thing is I have most of those modules.
Michael, I give Sentinel a B, because by itself, it's not special, but with the Gauntlet, it's fantastic. Because the Gauntlet is, it just leads up to the Gauntlet, which is one of the best adventures. It's certainly the best of the mid-80s, when things went downhill everywhere else, and the Gauntlet was there going, we can still do good modules.
Now, I'm gonna ask you a question here, since you have them.
Go on.
Are you gonna throw on the old school, the OAR books in there as well when you're done, just to see what they'll rank?
Well, given the amount of preparation that went into getting this tier list done, it took me about 2 hours to get all these pictures, because all the pictures you upload have to be the same size.
Oh man, that's a pain.
So I spent this afternoon resizing all these pictures.
That's way too much effort for this.
Yeah, but it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? It's a bit of fun.
Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting seeing how everyone feels about stuff. Like I said, I think Pharaoh was still my favorite. L1 was a great one. I don't know. So that's as much as everyone loved Ravenloft. I still, Ravenloft. I love the idea, especially when it came out. But man,
yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah, Michael, I had to resize them all, and there were some that were taken from pictures that were 100 pixels by 70 pixels. Some I had to downsize from 3,000 pixels by 2,000 pixels. It was a pain in the bum.
Well, yeah, now here's the real question: are you going to do this for the Middle Earth role-playing game?
No, because most of people in chat don't know the Middle Earth Adventures.
Well, the good news is people just vote randomly, so you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Hello.
You doing okay there?
I am barely awake.
What happened?
I didn't sleep well, and then I took a nap, and that didn't go well. And never go to sleep listening to a podcast that you find interesting.
Oh.
I found a cool podcast called The Fall of Civilizations, and they go through all these historical civilizations and track through their fall, even citing original language texts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah, don't do that when you're trying to actually sleep. So,
well, here's the real question: did you get any good dreams for your next game?
Oh, there's plenty of information, but that happens anyways.
Well, I just meant, sometimes you just, your mind gets all, and then you're like, oh man, that would be so cool for this.
Yeah, but no, I'm doing okay. Coffee will save me.
There we have our full tier list from 1978 to 1983, as voted for by chat. Not a single table flip in there. Not a single table. I believe when I did it, I'm sure I did put 3 or 4 table flips in.
That's okay. That was Tomb of Horrors for me. It wasn't fun as a DM. It wasn't that much fun as a character. It's just I
forgot about that one. I actually have played in that one. I don't think we ever finished it, but
well, I don't even like the idea of where it says, okay, now close up the book, put it away, and say congratulations. What the hell?
So you have to take it in the context it was intended.
I understand that. That doesn't make it a good module.
No, it's not supposed to be a good module. Though. That's the thing. It's supposed to be a for fun module.
Well, that's why I liked Pharaoh so much, because it had all those traps and other ways in, and
Pharaoh was fun.
If you want a Tomb of Horrors that's actually intended to be played, play Tomb of Annihilation. it's a 5th edition module, but if you could old school that one, like retrofit that back to old school, because it's designed. I mean, it's even a Sararak again. So
it's a hex crawl as well beforehand. So
even just the dungeon, but to go through the dungeon effectively, you have to go through all the previous adventures in there because there's clues and hints and stuff, which makes it a good dungeon because you're getting the information you need to go through the dungeon rather than like here's all this crap.
Okay. Well, see, John, since you now have OSE now. Yes. You can now properly review the different modules there, and see. There
aren't any modules. There aren't any modules in this set.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that you had bought the.
No.
Kickstarter.
No, this is the one with. It's got.
It's just the 5-book set.
Yeah.
No, it's got nine books.
No, he's got the advanced. He's got the classic and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 9-book set.
No, that's really cool. I just know that. I guess Eli and I both. Well, I know this is Mage's Musings. We went like all in, and I looked at them. Now some of them they said were a great module. I don't like this one. It doesn't feel right. The Hall of the. I mean, I love the idea for Hall of the Blood King. I just don't like. But the Plangent Mage.
Captain has just listed three of my table flip modules there. That's a spoiler for my video version of this.
No, I think you already did the table flips long before. Just we have to watch each individual module.
What you were saying, though, Omen, about the old school modules, I find this is an issue I have with a lot of OSR modules. Is a lot of them are written with that weird, slanted, nostalgic view of the OSR, and they're needlessly weird and oddball. And while that can be fun, it's too much of a prevailing design philosophy for OSR stuff.
Well, what I meant was it felt too confined for the amount of space versus what you had to deal with. That's what I was referring to. Whereas the Ravenloft was actually a very open module, so it felt like you could move through things, and there was a lot of empty areas in there. And that's what I was trying to move with. My favorite's still the Plangent Mage because it has everything I want. It has action. It has the mysteries. It has good rumors. It has the puzzles. It does everything I like in a module. That's my favorite of all the ones I've done. I really haven't looked at what is it, the Oak one?
Hole in the Oak.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at that one too much. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people like it, but yeah.
So there we go. I'm saving and downloading the results, so that's kept for posterity. That's the tier maker website.
Now, Eli, are you off today?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
I have Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays off. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's this is normally the day where I would normally at this time I would be over at my brother's house having dinner and spending time with my niece.
Cheers, Captain.
But that didn't happen today.
Screw you! I don't like you ever since you killed me. No, ever since you killed me in that 6th grade or whatever it was where you killed him off.
Yes, he was 10, and I killed his character at his birthday party.
Yes. It's a great story. What's even better is that he kept playing.
What's great is that him and I have very different memories of him getting into gaming, and it turns out that while I was forbidding to run him in games and teach him gaming until he got to a certain age, he was out learning on his own and running his own games. So,
well, that's awesome.
Just want to dive in and say this tier thing was a bit of an experiment tonight, just to see how it went, and the sheer fact that I didn't plan so much and didn't announce it or anything, and yet we got up to 30 people in.
That's crazy.
Made it work. Really made it worth doing. So. Chat are probably going to start filtering out now we finished, but no, finished the tier, but we're going to stay and have a bit of a chat. So that's great. That's really means it's gone well. So I might do some more tiers in the future. But,
I think people are really like tiers because tiers incite that sort of divisiveness and argumentativeness that people love to see in videos.
Well, the other thing is that it also brings back a lot of nostalgia, and it's a lot of that stuff is, oh wow, that's cool. I get this, I mean, some of them were like you were saying, Tomb of Martzek. In retrospect, looking at it, I said I love the idea for it. It just didn't seem to click as well as it should have.
It didn't. No,
and
for me at all.
I mean, but the picture on the front with the purple worm and them going across the glass.
The artwork's superb. Well, the front cover anyway. Interior was a bit.
Yeah. But the idea was so cool. Well, I did like the one where they're going back and forth, but they have to go through the painting. And they had to go. I mean, there were a lot of cool ideas with it. It just wasn't.
Yes, it was. It was a hodgepodge of great ideas, poorly put together.
That's okay. You can just mine it.
It's a good one. It's a good one for it should have been a 64-page adventure, or it should have been 2 adventures, and they should have made more from the Mobius Tower. They should have made more from the time and distance dilation section, rather than just have them as just very short chapters.
Well, when they brought out the super module, they could have done.
They could have done, and they didn't develop it at all.
That's what I felt about it. Is that you could have really moved that one along better. It was the same reason that I felt where they said it was T1, T4, the Temple of Elemental Evil. Then you were supposed to go through against the Slavers, and then go through against the Giant G1 through Q1. That's when. Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of the whole super thing, but it just didn't feel right. I didn't really like the Village Hamlet. I did not like the Temple of Elemental Evil when I was reading it.
Temple of Elemental Evil is crap. To be honest, it's not well made, and
it's got some good ideas in there, but it does feel it's got the after effects of how it was made.
Yeah, I feel it was written to fill the page count of the mega modules when it came out. Like they stretched it thin, and it also sort of goes against the original setup from the previous modules that lead into it.
It does,
It's sort of a.
But that's because it was Frank Mentzer put it together from Gary Gygax's notes in an effort to get it all out.
And who knows how loyal he was to those notes, for that matter.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I just thought there was better transition, like you said, the U1 through U3. I thought that would have or you could have dovetailed that with L1 to me, because you have it on an island. I mean, you could have done a lot of that aspect of like, oh, look, you're going to be on an island. You have L1, and then you could have tied that in to that.
Well, that was what was great about some of those early modules, where they were so easy to combine together. So easy, because you could just drop them in. They were self-contained, a lot of them were, but you had the lovely little sandboxes. I mean, B2 was a sandbox, L1 was a sandbox, I1 was a sandbox, D3 was a sandbox. Okay, D3 is a bit more difficult to work into a campaign, but certainly L2 and I1 are quite easy to work into campaigns and drop other modules in.
Well, I1 I thought was a great. Well, I love the sandbox thing. Not that it had to be completely fleshed out, but I'm like, okay, this is so cool. You've got this over here. You've got that, and I just sometimes felt that they were. I don't know if you go back and revisit some of these classic modules, which I'm actually surprised that while Goodman Games does it, is that Wizards of the Coast hasn't gone back and mined some of those for their. I know that they did. I know that they did with the Saltmarsh ones. But I'm surprised they didn't do it for a couple of the other ones.
Michael Stronghold, you are a very brave man.
Well, what happened? What did he do?
He's put the effort in. Michael Rooney, I mean, as it's, if you saw, I really, really liked Oasis of the White Palm, and yes, it did. It was obvious to me that there was another author involved, and Philip Myers was credited there. The whole feel of I4 is different to the others, and it works. I4 works really well.
Well, I still love. The only thing I didn't like was for Pharaoh. They had it, and of course, you had to find you had to fall in with the giant tarantula. Then you had the Ifrit who escaped, which leads up to everything else, which I thought was great. Then it went into the.
I mean, when you look at Pharaoh, you think, well, for everything to happen, these things have got to happen. and I've run it twice, and both times it did. So, and that's not forcing the players; they just did what was expected.
Yes.
But it's there's plenty of for it to go wrong.
Well,
R1 to 4. Hold on, Kabuki. R1 to 4. I don't really have opinions on those because I don't know enough about them. I know some of them were meshed together for Egg of the Phoenix I-12, but I've never run it, so I don't know how it plays.
I was looking for something, but I guess I couldn't find it because I was I think Greyhawk Grognard did sort of what the actual Temple of Elemental Evil or the follow up to Temple of Elemental Evil should have been, based on the original.
Well, I'm just curious. What would that have been?
I don't know. It's just based on There's also I know he's also done like a replacement for Queen of the Demon Web Pits as an end to the Drow, because it's sort of it's another one of those ones where they sort of just piss off the actual flow of the campaign where it was supposed to go.
Yeah,
the set of adventures.
Again, it was a different author at the end.
And that was something that plagued a lot of TSR stuff was somebody else's hands coming in. I mean, it even got Star Frontiers, so and there's even more with that.
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, I enjoyed the Volturner stuff. I thought most of the stuff was good until they started doing the 2001. Once you start doing the tie-ins, nothing good comes of it.
Well, and that's the end part. And actually, where I was going with that is the like the Zebulon's Guide, where they were trying to change the system completely because they turned the property over to somebody who never liked the game in the first place. Like, who the hell does that?
Well, I thought Cook liked it, but he was trying to update it, and then
no, it wasn't Cook that did Zebulon's.
Wasn't he? I thought who did the Zebulon's Guide. Maybe they put his name on there, and there was someone else that did most of the grunt work. But it was a completely different system. I mean,
no, Zebulon's is Kim Eastland.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
And so Eastland was a fan of Gamma World, and so he actually wrote Gamma World stuff into Star Frontiers. He changed some of the timeline. He even changed the system because they were trying to make it tie in with the whole universal table from the Marvel superheroes. It was just a big, but the point was, is that was a problem that TSR had, where they'd have these long-running properties that then, due to whatever internal politics or whatever, they would then crap out. So.
Well, and what was her name? The what is it? Williams?
Lorraine Williams, the other Williams. Evidently, if you find a woman named Williams and put her involved with D&D, things go wrong.
Well, apparently,
that's what keeps happening.
Well,
yeah, I mean, if we get a third one, it's a fact. It's no longer a theory.
Yeah. The first one is bad luck. The second one could be
is a coincidence. The third one is just that's a trend or. But no, I didn't
realize he was that old. Sorry, I'm just looking. Zeb Cook here. I didn't realize he was 89 years old.
Well, Zeb Cook was good stuff, man. Yeah. He's the guy who brought us Isle of Dread.
He
has an obsession with flying monkeys. But I think the Wizard of Oz scarred him as a child or something. But
let's see what he did here. Let's see. It says he did A1, I1, Isle of Dread.
Which has the Thanaton, which are flying lemur guys, and then later on we have Yazirians.
A1 is a good solid adventure, but then if you again going back to the whole different authors thing, the A series, 4 different authors, so it never felt.
And that's the thing that plagues some of the newer WotC projects too, is that they'll bring in they'll do campaign arcs because they do the big books that are the full campaigns, and there's no. Or at least it seems like there's no creative focus in them. So you get these campaign arcs that vary in tone and quality from adventure to adventure within that book, and you're just like, okay.
Well, didn't Dave? I thought that Zeb Cook was told specifically by Williams never to do anything for Star Frontiers again, and he's like, okay, it was one of these weird things where
I can't remember. I don't remember ever hearing that, but I don't. The Star Frontiers thing is just it's basically they were trying to shift TSR's sci-fi holdings our offerings, I should say, over to the Buck Rogers IP that Lorraine Williams had inherited through through some obscure family tie to the Buck Rogers estate, and then that did so well because there's a property that's just been chomping at the bit with everybody wanting to play it. I think even the people who have nostalgia for it probably are too old to even play role-playing games. So,
well, I mean,
sorry,
Buck Rogers was a kid. What was that, 1978 or something like that? Where they had
the problem is that the game went more after the classic Buck Rogers than if you're going to do the actual Buck Rogers TV show, which probably could have been a fun game. Anyways, TSR and its problems.
I know.
Late stage TSR.
Well, you know what I thought was interesting was before then when they had. I mean, they had so many things. They had Indiana Jones, and they had a lot of these other properties. But apparently, TSR, I guess under Lorraine Williams, she cut everything off except D&D was her focus, and that's the only thing she wanted to focus on. And all the designers just left.
Yeah, they didn't know how to handle other IPs. Yeah. The only IP that wasn't theirs, I think, that they really handled well was Marvel. And that's Jeff Grubb. He did amazing with Marvel because like the Indiana Jones game, you couldn't make your own characters in that game.
Yeah, I remember
you were always playing Indiana Jones.
The single biggest problem though with TSR from sort of mid 80s onwards, it was the lack of playtesting of the stuff, because didn't Lorraine Williams ban them from playing in the office? Whereas previously, all the stuff had clearly been a labour of love, had come from their own tables where they'd played it and they'd worked it through. And then from about 85 onwards, you got these adventures that were written by freelance authors, and they weren't proofread, and they were you could tell, and they hadn't been tested
you went from
properly.
A happy bullpen of enthusiasts kicking ideas back and forth and sabotaging each other's desks and workspaces and just having fun to them cracking the whip and then making it business,
yes,
which we all know how well that goes. Yeah.
Well, even Larry Elmore was talking about playing in games. I mean, it's not like
Otis did as well.
Yeah, I mean, they all played the games, which then inspired things. And I think Larry Elmore was talking about when he used the fireball and killed off the whole party. I saw that in one of the documentaries. But no, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was. I mean, I liked Top Secret. Top Secret didn't disappear. That was no support. Then I will say, like you said, with Marvel.
At least Top Secret got a second edition.
Well, that's true. Well,
but they did 5 editions of Gamma World. They just kept hammering that one home. That's because Kim Eastland had a hard on for Gamma World.
Well, the problem I had with Gamma World is it wasn't sold anywhere I lived.
Yeah. I had that original box set, and then I think my brother and I collectively got all the way up to 3rd edition. We managed to find it, but yeah.
Well, the other part was, and of course, John isn't there in his Dragon magazine reviews. You got a ways to go there, John. But I mean, the Marvel stuff. I hate to say it. I never read the Marvel comics, but they did such a great job with the characters. I knew exactly what was going on with each character because they had the write up in the Dragon magazine.
Yeah, the Marvel file. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they did a lot for that, and Dragon magazine also did a very good job, I guess, until Lorraine Williams came in, which is when I stopped subscribing to it. As a kid, I loved getting that book because it had stuff for Paranoia, Star Frontiers. I mean, it had for all the different game systems that were out there.
It had it for non-TSR games, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean by Paranoia. In fact, they took some of the articles from Dragon magazine. They put that in the, the 2nd edition of Paranoia?
Yeah. It's weird that how they did things. And I mean, one of the reasons the Marvel game did so well, honestly, though, is that is one of those rare examples. You and I have talked about how Free League's Alien is so well written for that setting. Mm-hmm. The Marvel game, the mechanics are perfectly done for a comic book superhero universe
because they were fast and easy.
Well, that and just the language used is evocative. The remarkable, amazing, that's all taken from the covers of magazines. Amazing Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk. It just
monstrous.
The whole game was just dripping with the theme, but not in a way that was distracting. It was a way that really motivated you. That easy plus minus column shift up and down that universal table. It was just perfect. You could make up new powers in that game by literally just saying, this power does this at X level. Well, and that's all the mechanics you needed, because all elsewhere in the rules, they had all sorts of energies and materials and stuff rated for strength. Like a battleship weighs this much, that's such and such weight. Fire is this hot. The surface of a star is this hot. Ice is this cold. Liquid nitrogen is that cold. A wind is this strong. So if you're creating a power off the cuff or a power stunt, it was so easy, because you're like, it does X at Y power level, and it just made sense. And Y, power levels, they had a number associated. So,
well, the other part I loved was the, again, not my game. Superheroes weren't my thing, but it was awfully nice to look at the characters. They really didn't care. Thor is this strong, and Thor was much stronger than like Spider-Man. But
there's no pretense of balance in that game, because they know that comic books don't need balance, and you don't have to have everybody be the same power level to have fun. Because if you look at the X-Men, they're not all the same power. You look at the Avengers, they're not all the same power. And Hawkeye versus the Hulk. I mean, it's a guy with a bow and some incredible accuracy and some gizmo arrows versus the ultimately endlessly strong and invulnerable green guy.
Well, but I meant, it was, but I liked the thing where they would do, they would do the villains or whatever in Dragon Magazine. And I think that helped a lot with Marvel, is you didn't have to produce all of the supplements.
They did produce a lot of supplements, but yeah.
Okay. But I meant, I didn't see them, is the funny thing. I saw maybe one or two. Again, I'm looking at B. Dalton and Walden Books, which you geeks probably not even familiar with. But those were the stores I went to, and the basic.
I'm sure there were the British equivalents. So
it was the basic store. Well, at the time,
your mall bookstore, basically.
Yeah. He said, "Well, I mean, White Dwarf before they ignored all the other games later on, but or what is it, Warhammer? Anyway, but yeah, I mean, there were so many great things in there that it's like, even if you weren't that interested in Dragon Magazine, especially the later ones. I'm going to talk about once you get up into the 60s, the comics were fun. They had the little stories in the back.
I missed the Phineas Fingers compilation I had. They took the whole run of that comic and put it into a trade paperback.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Well, the other part was, I remember Snarf when he first started out. That was just supposed to be 12 episodes. How long did that go? It was like
Snarf Quest went on forever.
What was
and then it's Larry Elmore art, so you're getting like every month a dose of Elmore. So,
but it's not as good at stuff. It's his comics. I mean,
this is black and white stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you look at Snarf, it's not high quality. It's not like his pictures and everything else that he puts on Dragon Magazine. No, it was great. What was the other one they had? They had
Wormy.
There was Wormy, but they also had.
I think Elmore's best work was in the Beckme books.
Yeah, he also did a bunch of work in Star Frontiers, but you would have missed that because you didn't do the sci-fi.
Well, the other part that they did.
Look at the cover for Mission to Alcazar. Even though it's science fiction, it's clearly an Elmore picture. Look, here's some beautiful nature with something going on in it.
well. See, and Elfie probably remembers this. Do you remember the Elephant Graveyard?
Not by name. Oh, you mean Elephant Hunt, the mini game?
There was the little mini games. They used to have little mini games.
Yeah, there's Elephant Hunt. I actually printed a copy of it.
Yeah, it had a thin cardboard inside, really thin and flimsy.
Yeah,
but you open it up and it had simple rules, and you just did you could cut stuff out, and you just did the little board game chits as you move along, and you all coupled. Those were great. I mean, those were fun, even if you weren't a big D&D fan. You're like, oh, well, this is just kind of cool.
They were fun enough to where I actually did an experiment trying to write a mini game.
Well, there was that one. Of course, the one with the claymation or whatever.
Claydonia.
Yeah.
Claydonia and Clayorama.
I mean, but those were great. They have all of these things that were But they had those little mini games, and when they started just going pure D&D, it lost a lot of its charm.
Yeah,
and that's when I stopped. And
I feel like they
same
probably
thing happened. Same thing happened with White Dwarf over here. White Dwarf was a multi-genre, multi-game magazine for years and years and years, and then it just became Warhammer.
Yeah, and I mean, admittedly, later on in TSR's, tenure, they had enough properties of their own to fill a magazine. And I don't know, maybe that was their. I mean, but I know with Lorraine Williams and the whole business angle that they were going for, I have to imagine that she just wasn't going to take promoting somebody else's work. Going back to the Marvel thing real quick, one of the things they did do there's clear that they were working closely with Marvel on that IP, which is, I think, something you see a lot of companies will get an IP, but then they don't talk to the original holder, because Marvel Comics put out this whole encyclopedic Marvel handbook where they had like little notebook inserts for all of their heroes, like 1 page, 2 page bios for all of them. And then the game took that entire run and did these big, thick books of collections of heroes that were done alphabetically in 3-ring binder pages. And it was an exact mirror of the ones that they had done in the comics. So clearly they were communicating on products. And so you were getting this A to Z of every hero in the Marvel universe and every villain in the Marvel universe and all the organizations and all of that. It was really awesome.
Well, as someone who did not read the Marvel comics, which just wasn't my thing for a lot of the superheroes, I knew all of this stuff because they would put up that 1 page in Dragon magazine. They're like, we're going to do what was that, the with Thor and the Troll King.
I actually used to buy a lot of gaming books that tied into IPs as source books because they often had the information condensed in. Where it was often hard to track down those actual fandom sources. But if you picked up a game magazine, especially in the early days of Japanese animation too, when you started seeing some of those role-playing games that came out for the Japanese animation series, you could grab the gaming books and they would work like source books.
Well, the other thing was Dragon magazine used to get, of course, they used to get advertisements from like Lone Master. That's how I was able to find out about certain games. Was by flipping through there, and they'd have the little thing in the corner. I was like, "Well, this sounds so cool." Lone Master, Arms Law, Claw Law.
I know you don't really like this. You like this description, but I still hold to the statement that Dragon really was a gaming lifestyle magazine, in that because it addressed more than just stuff at the table. It wasn't just D&D. I mean, in its better days, it was, hey, here's these LARP things. Like I remember being amazed picking up an issue of Dragon and reading about this awesome live action role playing thing before it was everywhere that was taking place just out on the Olympic Peninsula up in Washington where I lived. And I'm like, I never got there. But reading the guy's experience with it, he's like, yeah, I went there, and you wore a little a count for your hit points on your belt as this series of medallions that you would flip through, a little flip book, and they were throwing around packets of red powder as fireballs and white powder as like stun spells, and like they had a village set up, and he went there, and in the middle of the night there was an undead invasion with a necromancer, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go play this. That's not D&D, but that's total nerd lifestyle stuff, man. T-shirts, computer programs. They had all those early game aids.
I think what Slan says here is right as well. I mean, certainly very much. I remember throughout the 80s, we didn't say loyal to a particular company. It was just a hobby that that we just played the games from a variety of companies, and somebody bought a bit of D&D, somebody bought a bit of MERP, somebody bought a bit of Marvel superheroes, and we just played all of them. It was just you weren't just focusing on one company. So having the magazines spreading across the genre, across the games, across the genre, then that helped everybody.
I think they also forget though that communities, gaming communities and stuff like that, or communities in general, remember where the love comes from. And so if you are cool we remember you as the cool people, and we will continue to come back to you and support you. But if you try to be artificial and force us to play just your game, we don't like it. We get pissed off.
Well, I'm gonna say this brought up right up to the OGL, because it encouraged people. The OGL encouraged people to push your system, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, but since everyone's using your system, why wouldn't I get the core books for your system as well? I mean,
the original logic and wisdom behind the OGL made perfect sense. Wizards of the Coast did not want to have to risk the money to innovate and expand into the niche products that D&D could produce, so they would leave that to the third parties, which is great. I mean, it's good business sense. Like you said, it all tracks back to those core books, but it's also just it's good for the hobby and the players within the hobby. Because we saw people try new things like Adventures in Middle Earth, and there's a new one that's just about ready to hit Kickstarters too. It's like old school play with new school rules.
I'll be honest, just because I like the art and just because it's so weird, what Silver Plate looks kind of cool to me. I'm not sure I'm going to buy it, but that's definitely one of those I was like, because who the hell ever thinks hot dogs and donuts are ever going to be player characters that you can fight? I mean,
well, there's also Forkborg coming out too. This is the Forkborg spoof on that.
I mean, but you can get all the really dark, serious stuff and go all the way through. And the other part is, D&D has a lot of stuff. But I remember the Malpartha miniatures. The
Grumpy'Sland Shadow Dark is the one I'm talking about. It looks really cool. The art in it has been compared to, and his name escapes me, the dude who did all the Fiend Folio art.
Okay, I'm looking at Dungeon Craft. I saw him put that out there, but I haven't looked at it.
It's not him, but it's been compared to him. That very thick, lined, almost wood block looking art that is just grim and dark and spooky. They have a cool. You'll like the way that they do, for example, fighters, Omanel, because as you go up in level, you roll randomly to see what kind of a bump you get at these levels. It can be, and they use the bell curve too.
Sure.
So some things are going to be more common, but there are rare outliers. Like it could be just +2 to an attribute, or it could be a talent and +1 to an and it's so no two fighters will ever be the same, which I think is a really cool way of doing level progression. You've talked about liking some of that stuff with DCC.
Well, I liked it because it allows, how do I want to put this? Despite what people say, martial characters can get kind of boring in combat, and by allowing them, and again, it's not that you can't do it as a DM, but by having a mechanic, it encourages both the players and the DM to allow the Errol Flynn style stunts and things like that, which is what I enjoy. I want the, how do I want to put it? I like my grittiness, but I still like my pulp fighting.
No, man, there was I picked up a miniatures game once, and this was surprising to find in a miniatures game of all places, because miniatures games by their very nature tend to be very rigid, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was called Glore. I can't remember. It's basically the French word for glory.
Okay.
And it was a swashbuckling, sort of a miniature skirmish game, but they just had they go through all the rules, and they're like doing cool things. If you ever want your character to do, you ever want a miniature to do something in a fight, just state what it is, roll a die, and see if you succeed. And I'm like, that's really cool in the context of a miniature skirmish game, especially. But I can, it's really. Oh, good.
I was just going to say, John, I do appreciate you going through the old Dragon magazines.
Oh yeah,
because to be honest, I don't really look at the really old stuff because I know it's not relevant to even the first edition AD&D.
And it's pretty rough.
Well, and you can see that at the beginning, but it's interesting from a historic standpoint. It's just
Very much so.
This is why going back and rereading not the whole thing, but bits and pieces of the first edition Player's Handbook, the first edition Dungeon Master's Guide. If you actually sat down and read the whole book, you understand where he was coming from for the system. Yeah. And in some ways, I think we're kind of missing that in the modern day.
The why.
Yeah.
We get all sorts of how, and we don't even really necessarily get a lot of good how to. We get how, not how-tos. And then what we got from the DMG was how-to and why, but a big dose of the why. And one of the reasons I got the dragons, to John, is I knew he could make use of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I found a place where
I've kind of been the secret partner in those videos, but it's revealed. I mean, because this is bad. I always talk about things that I learned and how my perspective on D&D is very different. Sure. Because I had good access to Dragon Magazine my whole life. And so when I hear people going, this is new or this is outrageous, I'm like, the issue number 3 of Dragon, they were doing that. And so he never had a chance to see the Dragon magazines, and so now he can go through them. He can kind of absorb them, and then I kind of figured videos would come from those.
Well, I mean, I saw that, but it's nice to see a lot of the evolution. Well, even looking at, because I never had access to White Box, I was watching the Alexandrian, just in Alexandria. He was doing his stuff, and he was talking about it bit by bit, and it says right there, Green Martian. So whenever I hear people talk about, well, D&D didn't have this, I'm like, I have to make fun of,
Oh, D&D, he's talking about, I mean, one of his earliest campaigns, there's a freaking Balrog. As a PC.
Yeah.
And he even has that little blurb. What is funny is that Balrog, that passage that everybody talks about playing a dragon, he talks about, so at some point it's inevitable that somebody will want to play a dragon. That originally read somebody will want to play a Balrog, but then Tolkien sued him.
What's been most interesting for me with those Dragon magazines is seeing not only how the magazine is developed I've got through a year of them so far, and already the quality has improved, the layout has improved. I've found things that have in there that I found artwork that made it into the monster manual, the bullet made, and I can see from my own sort of nostalgic purposes, I can see where some of the things have come from before they made it into the hardbacks, and I love to see things like that. It gives me an idea of just how long the ideas were bouncing around for before they were made official, and to see where they were coming from, and to see the good ideas and the bad ideas that they had in these early days.
Oh yeah, and you see how they were already discussing different ways to do things, and how D&D was never intended to be like a fixed thing. It was customizable, it was appraisable, it was modifiable, it was it was okay to be critical of things in D&D. Like you'll see it throughout the articles, and you've probably already seen it, I think, in a few of them, where they're actually already critical of some things that have come up in D&D. And here's a way to get around that. And it was never intended like this is the way. It was always this is a way. And that was what was healthy about Dragon, is like, there are rules in there that I just can't play without anymore. Like for me, bows built for strength. I've mentioned that a lot of times. Yeah. That's a no-brainer, because historically we had bows of different draw. Today we have bows of different draw for different strengths, and they do different damage. So having a rule that allows you to use your strength bonus for the damage on your bow is perfectly sensible, and it doesn't break the game.
I'm gonna bring another one that they did, which a lot of it's always funny listening to my friends. They had no problems doing the magic users and stuff, and I said, but when the guy jumps off the cliff, and I said, well, in 5th edition, you're kind of like a Marvel superhero. The guy gets knocked off the building, he gets hurt for the fight, it comes back up. I said, but if you look at, I know Elfbait remembers this. Remember where it did a percentage of your health if you dropped a certain number of feet?
I don't remember that. I still remember falling damage as a number of dice per 10 feet.
Well, they started changing it, so it did a lot more. So the characters couldn't just jump 30 feet, and they're like, "Oh, it's no big deal. I lose, 11 hit points on average."
Well, the problem is that the damage that falling is doing in 5th edition is the same as it did in older editions, but you just have more hit points now.
Yes.
Well. That was one of the things about 5th edition.
And it's easier to get them back. So.
Yes. Well, I think, that's why I said 5th edition is more like the superhero aspect. You're,
very much so.
Knocked off the building, he can get back up and recover. Yeah, and I think that sometimes people forget about that. When I call it Harry Potter, it's not really a negative. It's just, a lot of us, when we grew up, we grew up with Conan, with a grittier background for things, and then the younger generation have grown up with Marvel and Harry Potter, and so they're going to try emulating the stuff they grew up with in fantasy. And I may not like it, but I think that that's one of the things that I think that everyone forgets about. Well, back in my day, look, everyone was playing whatever they found fun at the time. And I will say this much, like Elf-based, like especially for like the Alien, man, sometimes buying books based off an IP is just as good as buying like a kind of a thesaurus to see what's going on.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean, Alien. For the Alien game, they mined not just the primary sources, but some of the secondary expanded universe sources, and they mined deep. Like there's some deep lore. Like they go into who the Arcturians are, but the Arcturians are mentioned in one passing line of dialogue in the movies.
So, well, I know they're in this book right here, which is Colonial Marines, where they talk about the Arcturians.
Yeah.
But what I liked about it was Andrew Gaska, because I guess he's not freelancing for Freelink at the moment. But anyway, he was writing the stuff, and you could actually go and talk to him. He would have it in the middle of the day, and of course, it's where I'm teleworking, so it was really easy to type in questions, talking about like what IP would he like to use. And he said, I would love to do the Thing in Alien because the acid blood would prevent the Thing from taking over. He said he could really go with that and why it existed. Why did they have this alien with acid blood? And it's not that, if the Thing comes over, we got to wipe out the entire planet. How can we do that?
Yeah, there's well, and I also like, for example, I mean, when they did that book, they decided to cut it off at a certain period in the movies too. So, I think it's all the way up to Alien 3 is where they cut it off.
It's a little bit past Alien 3 because they talk about the Space Beast.
Well, yeah, Space Beast is the book written by the survivor of Alien 3.
Right.
But no, it's good stuff. But it's one of those rare buying stuff that's based on an IP is always kind of a crapshoot because they can stink.
Well, and Call of Cthulhu does a good job, based off an IP. That's done very well. I agree with you. A lot of them, they either
Call
don't.
of Cthulhu, though, I mean, it's based on the IP, but that's an IP that is so vague that it would be hard to screw it up. I mean, the only way they could have screwed it up is if they made it like D&D.
Well,
which was, according to Sandy Peterson, one of the things that they wanted him to do in the first place. And he's like, no, it doesn't work.
No.
Well, he did his 5th edition, didn't he? He did the 5th edition. Did he do a 5th edition or 3rd edition?
Well, he did 5e resources for Call of Cthulhu. He didn't do a 5e Call of Cthulhu. He's like, here's a monster manual for 5th edition for the monsters.
The nearest they got with the mechanics was a D20 version of Call of Cthulhu, really.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, that's what I was referring to, is that. Well, I mean, and it depends on how much you're allowed to mine, and that was good. I know that Andrew Gaska is considered, I guess, he's like number 2, so, whenever he makes sure that things go through the different, like he worked on Fire Team and a few others to make sure they all gelled together for, they were starting to use him for stuff like that. He said, well, the only person that overrides me is, what was his name? The Ridley Scott. Anyway, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But fans love what fans love. Whatever's great in there, and
yeah.
But,
I mean, there are some people who think that Alien 4 is a good movie.
The problem that I have with it is there could have been so good, but boy, when you look at the Alien versus the Alien books that came out with Newt and Hicks and from Dark Horse, why did you disappoint us? You could have done this whole thing and you did Alien 3 instead.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, like the AVP movie sucked because the graphic novel that it's based on is good.
Yeah.
What's weird is they went through all the trouble securing the rights to that, and it was a big pain in the ass because you had Dark Horse Comics and 2 different movie studios at the time.
Yeah. Well, in Dark Horse Comics, I don't think has it anymore. Anyway, it was
it's back to Dark Horse again now.
Oh, okay.
Marvel did a run, but they're actually letting Dark Horse do stuff again.
Okay. Well, I thought that.
I'm going to have to just give you a little bit of forewarning. I'm going to have to end the stream very shortly.
Okay.
I can't go quite as late tonight as I do on a Wednesday.
All right. Well, so John, how far have you gotten into your OSE books? And I'm going to ask the other question: was that part of your Kickstarter backing, or was that part that you just bought separately?
I've got as far as wearing the shirt and opening the box.
Okay.
Because they arrived today in the post. And I need to say thank you to Gene from Inksplat Records for having a spare set of books that he was willing to pass on to me for a small sum. Yeah, I bought them from Gene. So thanks, Gene.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you had backed a little bit of the Kickstarter and they just got finally to you in the UK.
I missed the Kickstarter. So
the only reason I found the Kickstarter is I said, "Oh, everyone's talking about this OSE. I'm going to go buy it from Exalted Funeral." And Exalted Funeral said, "We're out of a certain number of books." Like, well, I'll just wait. And then they said, "Oh, well, we got another printing." I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Yeah.
So that was but I'm glad that you got it, John. I think that from my perspective, looking at it, and of course, Mage's Musings really played it more than. I'm sorry, not yeah. Sorry. Anyway, the man. I like it a lot better than Advanced. Just looking at it seems to flow really smoothly. I know that Elfbait's trying to do his paleo game with it, but the Carcass Crawlers.
Yeah.
I had planned to start reading some of it as soon as it arrived, but I was preparing for this stream tonight, getting the slides ready, and I've also. Some of you know I'm involved in motorsport in Britain, and I've been asked to seed the first round of the British Rally Championship, which is happening in a few weeks' time. And the organisers got in touch with me this afternoon and wanted some amendments done there and then, pretty much. So it was a case of I need to do that because this is the British Rally Championship and it's quite big, and they're going to be running. No, I don't drive. I used to drive. I used to compete, but not in the British Rally Championship. But I've got a database of all the performance of all the competitors.
Mm-hmm.
And so they give me the entry lists and I put them all in running order. Because, in a rally, fastest cars go first, slowest ones go at the back. So the door numbers that they will be carrying are the ones I assign them. So
okay. I wasn't sure if you were still got in the car every so often. So
I still have the car, but it hasn't turned a wheel for 10 years.
Oh, really?
I can't afford to run it anymore.
If you don't mind, how much was it costing you to run?
The car cost $3,500 to build, and I was spending. I used to compete with my brother. He was the mechanic and the navigator. He was the one who'd read the pace notes. I was the driver, and I used to do the painting and the stickers and things like that. And I did a bit of scraping on the car to help it lose a bit of weight. But he was the mechanic, and we used to split everything 50-50. And our budget for a season was about £5,000.
Okay,
and that would get us through about 7 or 8 events. But that would be to look after the car, that would be licenses, that would be tires, fuel, entry fees, accommodation, all of that. He got diagnosed with something which affected his ability to read while being a passenger. He couldn't do that anymore.
I'm gonna have to sorry guys.
All right, cheers.
Here you go.
And he started suffering real bad bouts of vertigo, which if you're a rally co-driver is really not a good thing. So I had to start getting help from other co-drivers who obviously would not be involved in the mechanics and the building of the car. So I had to take on all those costs myself. And I'm not mechanically minded. And the car started to struggle.
Okay.
And then they changed the rules so that my car then needed £2,000 spending on it to stay up with the current safety rules. Which for me, if you think about it, £5,000 between me and my brother.
Yeah.
I then had to spend £2,000 to just stay legal. That was almost an entire season's budget. Couldn't justify it anymore.
I was just wondering if you still did navigation or something.
I could. I don't think I was a great navigator though.
Okay.
I was better at driving. there's a certain skill to pacing the notes, getting them out at the right time. And I did navigate on 3 events, but they were quite basic events. And one was with a guy who was a much quicker driver than me, and I learned a lot from being in the navigator seat with him. But I dropped out of it completely. And I just kept my database going. I go and watch them now. I wish I could compete, because it was a thrill. Doing 95 miles an hour in the Welsh Forest in a Nissan Micra it was fun. Of course it was.
Having done, I did some stuff with the military where we ran vehicles and we did, hairpin turns and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I can imagine that's a lot of fun. But
it was left foot braking that really cracked it for me. Being able to brake with my left foot, and being willing to go into tight corners with my foot planted on the throttle and trust my left foot to do everything else, brake and change gear, because they're all manual gearboxes. So I'd be doing braking and the clutch with my left foot at the same time. That was the thing you had to crack to be quick. And I'd just about done that when the car started falling to bits. So I'd become a half decent driver, but the car started failing me. For the previous 5 or 6 years, I was a driver who was learning, and the car was decent.
So what you're saying is because you are no longer a rally driver, that's why you got back into role-playing games.
Well,
because it seems like it's about that time frame. I'm just teasing you on
it
that.
Is, and it was judo and role-playing games came after that. I was playing cricket and I was doing rally driving, and my knees gave up on me with cricket, and my wallet gave up on me with rally driving. And I rediscovered role-playing games, and I bought myself a judo suit and got the judo mat, which helped my fitness, which in turn helped with my knees.
Yes.
So that's been the last 10 years.
Well, I was just making sure, we wanted to say is, what John could have been if he hadn't, if things turned out differently, we wouldn't have Yield Geek now.
I wasn't a bad driver. I was never going to win anything. I won a few stages in my class, but I never won my class on an event. I got a lot of second places. I had a bit of bad luck a few times. I was winning my class by miles on one event and got a puncture, which was it cost me 4 minutes. Oh well, that happens. It's the way it goes. It's the way it goes. But Squirrel's just arrived. Squirrel has just. Thanks, Mike. But I'm going to have to call it, because I've been going for 2 hours 47 minutes on the stream. I had only planned to run for less than 2 hours originally.
Well, I'm sorry. We joined you right there.
No worries. No worries.
We were talking about everything. Trying to get you on the Dragon magazine. I can't wait. Just so you know, the best editions were always the April Fool's editions, and those are just hilarious to read. So anyway, I'm glad that you got that OSE. I think it's great. When I go back, it catches everything I really like about it.
Yeah. I've had a flick through, and I flicked. Where do you look first when you've opened up a new set? The monster book. I looked through the 2 monster books, and I love the art, and I think the art's great. I love the old school feel of the art, so it's already won me over with that. So, and I know I've seen so much about the way the mechanics are laid out. I know it's an easy read. It's well laid out. I can see that already.
What I love is, for players who don't have it, is now you can just hand the books out to them and they don't fight over with it. And I think that's sometimes what people forget about is that, boy, when you had the one player's handbook and everyone had to go look up their spells or whatever's going on, instead of saying, oh, here, you get this one, you get that one. It's like, don't touch my books, you're going to break them. Especially the guy goes like, oh, I'm just going to open up, the full 180 degrees, a little bit more, and he grabs like one end and you're like, don't break my binding.
Yeah. The books feel nice and solid, nice and weighty, feel really well made, and I'm looking forward to plowing through them. And I'm not working this weekend, so hopefully I'll get a chance to start then.
Well, you can. Mage's Musings. I guess now we have to get an online OSE game going. Yeah, why not?
Since when have I been accused of stealing Gatekeeper topics? I think Gatekeepers have been stealing my topics. I think that's more likely. I think.
Wait. Are we going to say have the same number of players this weekend?
I think so.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. News coming up.
So, Al, most of my topics recently have been planned 6 to 8 weeks in advance, haven't they? In the Discord, I've been putting out a schedule in the Discord. So, Jade was talking nonsense. That had been planned in the Discord for at least 5 or 6 weeks. Last week's topic. So, yeah. Me thinks a little birdie's been telling a porcupine there.
That's okay. You can just tell them that it was completely different. I've been going through Exalted Essence, and I'm going, okay, so they can go play those other games. They can go play. If they're really worried about it, they can go play sci-fi. They can go play some of the other superhero stuff that you don't touch.
I know he popped in to advertise Gatekeepers last week, but the timestamps are on our discussions in Discord as to when we suggest ideas, aren't they? We have a stream regulars channel and a stream invites channel, and we discuss them in there. So, yep, the timestamps are there. So our topics are planned. Which reminds me, I need to get marches up because I've just got the one for the classes next week, so I need to get some topics sorted out for March and April.
This week? What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow's the niche classes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I need to call it a day because I need to call it a day because before I go to bed tonight, I do want to quickly crop the end bits and pieces off the video I recorded earlier and get it uploaded onto YouTube. So
sure.
that takes about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So I need to get that done. But thanks everyone for joining in on chat. Thanks Omanal for joining in, and Elf Beta's been in and gone, and it's been a lot more successful than I expected tonight. Cheers.
We just missed Hungar, and his that's tomorrow.
He was in earlier.
Oh, okay.
All right. Cheers all. See ya.
Have a good night, John.
Good night.